This is the Midland Home Service.
To me way, we'll pay Paddy Doyle for his boots.
We present the Song Carriers.
To me way, we'll all drink whiskey and gin.
The 8th programme in the series in which Ewan MacColl introduces the traditional songs and singers of Great Britain and Ireland.
To me way, we'll all shave under the chin.
The Sea Shanty, England's only real work song. And by work song, we mean a song with the specific function of accompanying a labour process, like this Norn boat song from Lerwick in the Shetlands. Gaelic Scotland was once rich in such songs, and there is scarcely a single type of work that didn't have its musical accompaniment. There were songs for reaping, sowing, digging ditches, milking cows, shoeing a horse, rowing a boat, churning butter, every conceivable kind of job. If England, Ireland, and lowland Scotland once possessed similar songs, it must have been in remote times, for not a trace of them has survived. But if we lack work songs proper, then we more than make up for this lack by having a tremendous number of songs which have work for their central theme. Naturally enough, most of these songs deal with the various aspects of agricultural labour. Here is a perfect example of this type of song, sung by Bob and James Copper of Rottingdean, Sussex.
Come, all jolly ploughmen, and help me to sing. I will sing in the praise of you all. If a man he don't labour, how can he get bread? I will sing and make merry with all. It was of two young brethren born. It was of two young brethren born. One he was a shepherd and a tender of sheep, the other a planter of corn. We will rile it, we will tile it, through mud and through clay. We will plough it up deeper and low. Then after comes the seedsman, his corn for to sow, and the harrows to rake it in rows. There is April, there is May, there's June and July. What a pleasure it is for to see the corn grow. In August we will reap it, we will cut sheep and bind it, and go down with our scythe for to mow. And after we have reaped it off every sheaf, and have gathered up every ear, with a drop of good beer, boys, and your hearts full of cheer, we will wish them another good year. Our barns they are full, our fields they are clear. Good health to our master and friends. We will make no more to do, but we will plough and we'll sow, and provide for the very next year.
Townspeople, Even those who take an interest in folk music tend to think of country folk as a group of people with identical interests, and consequently they make the mistake of thinking that country songs automatically reflect the attitudes, ideas, hopes, and aspirations of a topographically related group, rather than a group united by economic ties. In most of the country songs dealing with work, a very sharp distinction is drawn between the employee, the farmhand, and the employer, the farmer. The attitude reflected in the songs is nearly always that of the labourers, the I and we of the songs. The farmer is they or them, and even when he is not a subject of criticism or satire, he tends to be kept at arm's length. Here is a ploughman's song from Aberdeen, sung by John Strachan of Fyvie, The Brave Ploughman Lad.
Call winter storm is new awa, and summer's come again, and the cold dry wind to March month had driven awa the rain. Had driven awa the dreary rain, likewise the frost and snaw. So our foreman in the morning he is ordered to saw. Say on we drive until the sun ain't yon hell is hide, and syne we louse our horses tired, and homeward we do ride. And homeward we do ride, full keen to get our horses fed. We came them wheel baith back and heel on their tails, and mains we read. When that is done, we supper get, and after that we hie. I want to see where pretty girls are milking o' their kye, each one to see his sweetheart and pre her cherry moo. Then tak a dag and oor her twa shake hands and bid adieu. So now I mean to end my song, and I will end with this. May the ploughman get mere wages, it is my earnest wish. It is my heartfelt wish, I say, it is the ploughman's due. For he sustains both rich and poor by the handling o' the plough.
That, of course, is a bothy song, a member of that truly extraordinary body of Scottish farm workers' songs, most of which were created in the mid-19th century, a period which, it is worth noting, also gave rise to the sea shanties and sailors' songs. The bothy, from which the song group takes its name, was a kind of dormitory set apart from the main farm building, in which the male farm labourers, or farm servants as they are called in Scotland, lived and slept. When the day's work was done and the evening meal eaten, the farm workers would settle down to entertaining themselves by singing old songs, making up new ones, and telling stories. Of all the songs in these islands dealing with agricultural work, none reflect more sharply than the bothy songs the conflicts inherent in the worker-employer relationship. The farmer in the bothy songs is generally depicted as a mean, suspicious, cheese-paring tyrant. He starves both his horses and his men, limits social contact between male and female farm servants, and devotes his entire life to squeezing the last ounce of work out of his labourers. A black characterization which could so easily have produced self-pitying dirges or sententious homilies like those 19th century ballads castigating drunkenness. The bothy songs, however, are informed with a wry and often satirical humour which preserves their artistic balance. Here is Togo Crawford of Galloway singing The Feeing Time.
For I went to Dumfries higher and fair for to get a fee. Among the hashy farmers my heart did like to be. We a mush matura laddie, oh, and a mush matura lay. Old Jock of Aberdeen comes up to me, says he, you're having a fair. Will you no go hame with me and drive the second pair? We a mush matura laddie, oh, and a mush matura lay. If ye can had the plough a bit and build a fair good stack, and for rising in the morning, I hope you'll no be slack. We a mush matura laddie, oh, and a mush matura lay. The horses I got to work, They weren't very braw, for Jeannie she had ye lame leg, and Maggie she had twa. Wee a mush matura laddie, oh, and a mush matura lay. There was a lass about the place, the name of her was Jean, and the way that lass was treated was a god almighty shame. Wee a mush matura laddie, oh, and a mush matura lay. The milk we got at porridge, it wasn't very new. It sat the cats and dogs a howling, bloomin' her bet the Sue. Wee a mush matura laddie, oh, and a mush matura lay. The scone it was blue-moulded, the keel it had a smell, and even in the winter time the beef could run itsell. Wee a mush matura laddie, oh, and a mush matura lay. But term time will soon be here, and I dinna care a hang, for I'll bundle up my old dads and gang the road I can. Wee a mush matura laddie, oh, and a mush matura lay.
And here from Banffshire, one of the great bothy areas, is another typical piece. This is much more critical about everything. In many ways, this kind of bothy song equates with those army ballads where the food, the beds, the wages, and the officers are all dealt with and found wanting. Many American cowboy songs are treated in the same way. It is not only the conditions of work that come under fire, it is the work itself. Tara Merkit is the title of this song, and it should not be confused with the Barnyards of Delgaty, which is also sometimes called Tara Merkit. The singer is Frank Steele of Banff.
Says I get up at the market for to get a fee. I'm a ten with Jimmy Brown, Mohammed did agree with my hook on lanky doodle, eh? Singing hook on lanky doodle to Riley. Says I get him to Jimmy Brown was on the evening clear, and then I put the marathon the golf and the appear with my hook on lanky doodle, eh? Singing hook on lanky doodle to Riley. It's 6 o'clock was yoking time, we all get to the plough, but long a lousing time the pair got my row. We my hook on lanky doodle, eh? Singing hook on lanky doodle to Riley. My plough, she was the working wheel, she wouldn't throw the far. The gaffer says there's nothing that is ready to get for. We my hook on lanky doodle, eh? Singing hook on lanky doodle to Riley. I knew I've got my new plough, she said, smoked the wheel, but I think she would be better if she had a currant wheel. With my hook on lanky doodle, eh? Singing hook on lanky doodle to Riley. We have a big healing cook, her name is Isabel. She dresses up on Sunday, we are here to be in the Liverpool. We Clara Ivory, she scare the fairy devil. With my hook on lanky doodle to Riley.
In addition to their critical elements, the bothy songs also reflect a sense of pride in the special skills possessed by the farm worker. This pride often extends, particularly in the ploughman songs, to the farm horses. Horses were not only an important factor in the farming economy, but in addition, the possession of a good team of plough horses conferred social prestige both on their owners and on the men who drove, fed, and looked after them, the ploughmen. The tractors changed all that. Although it would be a mistake to imagine that the coming of farming machinery automatically put an end to the countryman's song-making activities. At first, farm workers resisted the coming of machines just as the handloom weavers and spinners did, and the followers of Ned Ludd were not confined to the urban population. In 1830, for example, 29 Wiltshire farmhands were sentenced to death by the court at Salisbury for having taken part in riots against the introduction of the automatic threshing machine. Social attitudes, however, change with the passing of time, and today the threshing machine is the most sung-about piece of agricultural machinery that we have. Here is James Copper of Rottingdean singing the threshing machine.
It's all very well to have a machine to thresh your wheat and your barley clean, to thresh it and whip it all fit for sale, then go off to market so brisk and well, singing rumble-dum-dairy, flare up Mary, and make her old table shine. The man who made her, he made her so well, he made every cog and wheel to tell. While the big wheel runs, the little one hums, and the feeder sits above the drum, singing rumble-dum-dairy, flare up Mary, and make her old table shine. There's old Father Howard the sheaves to put, while old Mother Howard she does make up. And Mary she sits and feeds all day while Johnny carries the straw away. Singing rumble-dum-dairy, flare up Mary and make her old table shine. At 7 o'clock we do begin and we generally stop about 9 or 10 to have our beer and see all right. Then off we go till 1 o'clock, singing rumble-dum-dairy, flare up Mary and make her old table shine. Then after a bite and a drink all round, the driver he climbs to his box again. And with his long whip he shouts all right and he drives him round till 5 at night. Singing rumble-dum-dairy, flare up Mary and make her old table shine.
Almost all the old trades and occupations have their songs. Weaving and spinning in particular are celebrated in numerous pieces. It's true that most of these date back to the days of handloom weaving and hand spinning. After all, a textile factory is an incredibly noisy place. This is particularly true of weaving sheds, where the noise is so terrific and so constant that the girls and women who work there communicate mostly by lip reading. Such conditions are not conducive to the creation of songs. But then, songs about work are not necessarily produced at the scene of labour, at the bench, so to speak. More often than not, they are made in conditions of comparative tranquillity. John McClaverty, who sings the next short piece, The Doffin Mistress, remembers it being sung by mill girls in the streets of Belfast when he was a boy. A doffer, by the way, is a girl whose job it is to remove the full reels or bobbins from the spindle and replace them with empty ones.
Oh, do you know her or do you not? This new Doffin mistress we have got, Sergeant McStravick it is her name, and she helps her doffers at every frame. Roddy right for ra, roddy right for ree. On Monday morning as she comes in, she hangs her clothes on the highest pin. She turns around for to view her friends, shouting, "Hi, doffers, try up your ends. Roddy right for ra, roddy right for ree. Tie up our ends we will surely do, for Sergeant McStravick, but not for you. Tie up our ends we will surely do, for Sergeant McStravick, but not for you. Roddy right for ra, roddy right for ree."
Even when work is not the main theme of a song, it is often used as a kind of background for the main theme. This happens frequently in love songs, where the occupation of the lover or the beloved serves to invest the action with an added element of realism. Here is a very beautiful example of this kind of song, The Factory Girl, sung by Sarah Macomb of Armagh.
As I went a-walking one fine summer's morning, the birds on the branches they sweetly did sing. The lads and the lassies together were sporting, going down to yon factory their work to begin. I spied a wee damsel more fairer than Venice, her skin like the lily, not one could excel, her cheeks like the red rose that grew in yon valley. She's my one only goddess, she's a sweet factory girl. I stepped it up to her, it was for to view her, when on me she cast a bright look of disdain. Stand off me, and do not insult me. For although I'm a poor girl, I think it no shame. I don't mean to harm you, I'm sure I would scorn it. But grant me one favour, pray, where do you dwell? I am a poor girl without home or relations, and besides I'm a hard-working factory girl. Well, now to conclude and to finish these verses, these couple got married and both are doing well. So lads, fill your glasses and drink to the lasses, till we hear the dumb sound of the sweet factory bell.
A love song in which the action is heightened by the setting, a background of factory chimneys. In such a song, the pastoral tradition succeeds in making itself completely at home in the new urban scene. The following piece is also classed as an industrial folk song in spite of the fact that it is not directly concerned with work. It is a song which makes extensive use of what we might call trade humour, that is, humour based upon the specific terminology and the conditions of a specific trade, in this case the building trade, or that branch of the building trade which makes use of hot asphalt. This song may well have begun life as a music hall piece, but it is now part of the traditional repertoire of Great Britain and Ireland. Here is John McClaverty of Belfast again singing Hot Asphalt.
'Tis lately gone 6 months ago since I left sweet Bandon town, where I helped me Uncle Barney for to cut the harvest down. But sure now I wear a ganzy and around me waist a belt. I'm the gaffer o'er the boys that makes the hot ice pelt. So you might honk about your soldiers and your sailors and the rest, your tailors and your showmakers to please the ladies best. But the devil of one of them has got their crazy hearts to melt, like the boys around the boiler making hot ice pelt. Now one day a peeler came to me and says he to me, Maguire, would you kindly let me light me doodgy not your boiler fire? Then he turns round to the boiler with his coattails up so neat. Now says I, me decent man, you better go and mind your beat. Sure, says he, that'll do for me, for I've got me bloomin' marks, and I know you for a dirty peck of Tipperary box. Then I drew it from me shoulder, and I gave him such a pelt that I knocked him into the boiler full of hot ice pelt. So you may talk about your soldiers and your sailors and the rest, your tailors and your showmakers to please the ladies best. But the devil of one of them has got their crazy hearts to melt, like the boys around the boiler making hot ice pelt. Well, we quickly pulled 'em out again and put 'em in a tub, and with soap and warm water, sure we did rub and scrub. But the devil a bit of tar came off and stuck on just like stone, and every rub that we did give you'd hear the peeler groan. And out of the wetting he did get, he caught a bloomin' cold, and for scientific purposes his body has been sold. and now in the National Museum is hanging by the belt as an example of the dire effects of hot ice pelt. So you may talk about your soldiers and your sailors and the rest, your tailors and your showmakers to please the ladies best, but the devil of one of them has got their crazy hearts to melt, like the boys around the boiler making hot ice pelt.
It is only recently that we here in Britain have become aware that our coal industry too has produced a considerable number of fine traditional songs. We tend to be pleasantly surprised by this discovery, though it's not really so surprising. After all, some of our coal fields have been worked for several hundred years. We read of medieval monks, for example, opening up drift mines in County Durham. Then again, the closely knit character of a coal mining community and the fact that everyone in that community is dependent on his neighbour for his safety and therefore his livelihood helps to create the classic conditions for survival and maintenance of an oral tradition, where songs and stories are part of the community heritage. As one would expect, many of the mining songs are records of disasters, pit explosions, rock falls, accidents of all kinds. Others deal with strikes and lockouts. A smaller number, and these are chiefly older songs, praise the miner as a man by drawing attention to his bravery, praise his social qualities by pointing out his value to the community. Here is one of the half-dozen miners' songs which have become part of the standard repertoire of the country singer. 6 Jolly Miners, sung by Victor Turp Brown of Cheriton, Hampshire.
6 jolly miners, 6 miners you shall hear, for they'd been a-mining for many a long years. They'd travelled England, Ireland, and Scotland all around. But the whole their delight was a working underground. There was one who came from Cornwall and 2 from the Derby town. The other 3 from Williamsbridge, young lads of our renown. But the whole their delight was to split those rocks in twine. But of all their delight was to working underground. Sometimes we got money, boys, sometimes we none at all, but we can have a credit, me boys, and a honour we can call. We can call for liquors merrily and drink our healths all round. Here's a health to all the jolly miners that works all underground. Oh, have you seen my miners? So sweet lives sang he. For home he trades in England, it's a mining for me.
And we end this programme with what is probably the greatest and certainly the oldest of our mining songs. The Collier's Rant, sung by Pete Elliott of Birtley, County Durham.
Me and me mother was gone to walk. We met with the devil, it wasn't a dark. I hope with me pick, it wasn't a neat. I knocked off his horns, likewise his club feet. Oh, follow the horses, Johnny me laddie. Follow the horses, Johnny lad, oh. Follow the horses, Johnny me laddie. Hey lad, lie away, me canny lad, oh. Oh, Mara, oh, what do you think? I've broken me bottle and spilt all the drink. I've lost all me tools among the big stains. Draw me to the shaft, it's time to go home. Oh, follow the horses, Johnny me laddie. Follow the horses, Johnny lad, oh. Follow the horses, Johnny me laddie. Hey lad, lie away, me canny lad, oh. As me and me mother was loading the tram, the light it went out and me mother went wrong. You would have laughed at such a fine gam. Old Nick got me mother and I got the tram. Oh, follow the horses, Johnny me laddie. Follow the horses, Johnny lad, oh. Follow the horses, Johnny me laddie. Hey lad, lie away, me canny lad, oh. Now here is the timmer and here is the tram. 2 horns full of grease will mak it again. There's me mother stretched out on the ground. You can tear up his shot, 'cause his mine is all done. No, follow the horses, Johnny me laddie, follow the horses, Johnny laddo, follow the horses, Johnny me laddie. Hey lad, lie away, me canny laddo.